Hello, everybody. It's Reverend Meg. So I'm making you the quickest video possible to help answer some questions about Genesis for anyone and everyone who is curious about the Genesis program. So first, let's talk about the genesis of Genesis, because I didn't just create it because my guides guided me to create it and they gave me a good amount of the content, if not nearly all of it. I created Genesis because I became hyper aware of huge gaps in the programs for spiritual development that were available. Huge gaps, up to and including bypassing the most important parts of spiritual development. Most of your spiritual programs are just think happy thoughts no matter what. Don't think unhappy thoughts. Or they swing totally over to the complete and total mystic folklore and even dogma in the 21st century. So that's not grounded at all. And just telling people to think happy thoughts all the time and to ignore their unhappy thoughts, that's not very practical either, or grounded. In a nutshell, I noticed that a lot of our spiritual programs, if not most of them, bypass what's most important for spiritual development and are on top of that not grounded at all. A lot of these programs don't teach you how to hit the ground running. That's pretty much just like putting a bunch of frosting and sprinkles on top of poop. Eventually, the frosting and the sprinkles is just going to mix up with the poop. So Genesis gives you tools to uproot, understand, and release all the negativity that you can possibly. And that is the biggest part of spiritual development. And you can't take care of that with frosting and sprinkles and just thinking happy thoughts. We've got to be able to move in as deeply as possible to this primate, right? To uproot, understand, and release it. Otherwise, we just spend our lives piling frosting and sprinkles on top of poop. I often say that Genesis is a way to understand the animal and therefore free the spirit. And you know what? That's one of the most perfect ways to put it. To answer a couple big questions, the main questions that most people have about Genesis is the first one: will Genesis help me improve psychic skills? It gives you all the tools to do that. Yes. And will Genesis help me communicate with entities on the other side, either my guides or my loved ones or what have you? Yes. Genesis gives you all the tools for that. Absolutely. But it's so much more. Genesis isn't just about communicating with your guides or developing your intuition. Genesis is about developing you in a way that's sustainable. That's why it's a 12-month program, so that you can have a sustainably happier, healthier, clearer, and more aligned life. Understand the animal, free the spirit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share screen with you a quick PDF on what we cover in Genesis and why, as quickly as possible so I don't eat up all your time. And then I'm going to take you through the Genesis members pages so you can kind of see what that looks like as well. So hold on to your hats, everybody. We're going to do a share screen here real quick. And we're going to get into this. Here we go. All right, I'm going to click present so you've got a good view of this. Hooray. So choose evolution. That's what Genesis is about, evolution. Sometimes you hear evolution, and more often than not, you hear evolution referred to as ascension. And everyone's got a little bit of a different definition for ascension, depending on which train of thought they're coming from. But in reality, ascension, be it nirvana or development or clarity or whatever it is, it all involves evolution, the evolution of self, and not just the spiritual self, the entire self, the holy trinity of self, mind, body, spirit. So that's what Genesis is all about, choosing evolution. So now 5 years ago, I was guided to create this program. And 4 years ago, I began creating it. It took a very long time. It's a 12-month program. And just like my other 2 courses, I work with my guides to create the content, including the guided visualizations that are in Genesis. I'm always amazed at what they have to share and how perfectly they order everything. It's astonishing every time. Genesis is designed to catalyze shifts, small and large. Genesis is brave. It is for people who have had enough of their ego, which is the same thing as the subconscious mind and the inner child, by the way, all the same things. It gently guides you through your mind so you can release negative emotions and thoughts and the roots which grow them. So no frosting and sprinkles. We're getting in at the root source with all the tools in Genesis. Genesis helps facilitate shifts in your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors, and your connection to your spirit and spirit side, the non-physical world. Very important. If you can take anything from this video, alignment is not an action. It is a consequence of releasing negativity and healing. And when we are aligned, we attract our best far more easily. And in fact, when we're aligned, we don't even have to try. It just happens. So this is the first 3 months of the 12-month program. Emotions, roles and triggers, and bypassing. Not the first time the bypassing words come up today. So month 1, we cover emotions. And emotions are a necessary part of our human experience, and they can lead to our greatest healing and unlearning. Unlearning, one of my favorite words. We must begin this program with emotions because emotions are our greatest blocks. Also, according to my guides, the brigade, if we didn't start with emotions and we put it somewhere else in the program, everyone would freak out at the rest of the information right off the bat. So in month 1, we cover the 7 deadly emotions, which is one of the most profound workshops I ever have gotten from my guides to this day. Emotions and spiritual development, cycles and justification, and emotional control. And then we get over to roles and triggers. So we are all programmed and trained to play certain roles in our worlds when we are young. And we often grow to believe these roles are authentic. We begin to believe our programs are who we are actually at a very young age. Oftentimes, spiritual teachers will assign new roles to people. Now, this is a big deal, everybody, especially with all the archetypes that we see in spirituality, where we're just being assigned new, inauthentic roles. You are not you, you are the magician. You are not you, you are the magical fairy. You are not you, you are the temptress. We're assigned new roles, even in spiritual development courses, instead of coming back to who we authentically are and having the tools to do so. And that just furthers people away from their authentic self, getting new roles, right? And evolution is coming into one's truth, one's authentic self, the duality of it. So in month 2, we cover roles, which is mind-blowing, stories, also mind-blowing, triggers, and recalibration, which is a little bit easier. The first 3 months of Genesis are the most mind-blowing for sure. So then we squeeze over into bypassing and delusion. They create a tremendous amount of pain and conflict within the collective, but our subconscious minds crave this pain. So it's hard to step out of bypassing and delusion. Why we crave that pain is a program. It's called what I call the Suffer Club program. We are taught that we have to suffer and that it is noble, honorable, normal, and part of the human experience. And it is, but it doesn't always have to be. Presence, honesty, and emotional control are necessary to avoid delusion and bypassing. So in month 3, we cover filters, delusion, bypassing, and clear sight. So that's month 1 through 3, all a little bit mind-blowing. Honestly, it's all a little bit mind-blowing. So awareness, fearlessness, and manifestation. This is a lot of fun. So sandwiched right in the middle is fear month, right? I call it month 5, 5-point harness month, because fear is insane, right? But we start out with awareness. So awareness and stillness majorly impact our ability to have joy, greater intuition, and purpose. So our ability to still the mind and the emotions determines our level of ability to connect to spirit accurately or at all. Awareness and stillness are not the same, but they are similar. So in month 4, we cover awareness, stillness, letting the magic happen, and other people's awareness. We cover that a lot in Genesis, not just how to do this, but also how to do all those people out there, because most sensitive people are empathic, and we need those tools also. So fearlessness. If anything, Genesis helps out a lot with fear and being fearless in this world. Take a quick moment to take a deep breath and imagine not having any fear. Imagine being fearless. Imagine not being worried or anxious all the time, because that's all worry and anxiety is. It's fear. Imagine your life without that. Oh, sounds great, right? So most of our fears revolve around a fear of loss, a fear of gain, or a fear of pain, or if we're lucky, all 3 at the same time. So it's vital to move into our fears, allow them to be present, and allow them to present themselves in a safe space. Listen to the fears, and then tell our fear what is actually true, because fear is a liar. But there's some other things about fear that you may not have heard before that's in Fearlessness Month. Other people's fears greatly impacts us as well. And that's because we're primates, we're animals. It's part of the program. But we can reprogram that and get the subconscious animal mind in alignment with the conscious mind. So in month 5, we cover fears, fear and success. Oh, fear and spiritual development, and fear in others. And then we get over into fun month. Completely so much fun. Manifestation month, right? Manifestation, attraction, and flow, they are the 3 amigos, and they go together. So manifestation is creating the future with thoughts. Attraction is attracting energy to you, and flow is very simply the opposite of resistance. So in month 6, we cover classic and new perspectives on manifestation and attraction and flow, and how they relate to spirituality, how they relate to your spiritual development, how they relate to intuition and spiritual communication. So much fun. And then we get into conflict, guidance, and fortitude. So conflict, we see a lot of that, don't we? Because we're primates once again. But in Genesis, we're learning how to align that animal mind, the subconscious mind, the ego, the inner child, up with the conscious mind, our infinite intelligence. So month 7, conflict. Turbulence is vibrational activity that deviates from normal. Conflict is resistance towards ideas, beliefs, expressions, actions, thoughts, or events. There are both internal turbulence and conflict and external turbulence and conflict. So in month 7, we cover turbulence, conflict, avoiding turbulence and conflict without bypassing, the bypassing word again. And then we also include a section on others, conflict and others. That's another mind-blowing month. And then guidance. This one's a fun month. This is where the rubber really hits the road in communication with guides. So we have guides. A lot of different cultures call them a lot of different things, but for the intents and purposes of this video, we're going to say guides. We all have guides, and we receive guidance for connection to home, big home, spirit side, source, clarity, and love. So spirit side has an integral part in the evolution of the human species, not just because we're a spirit in a body, but because spirit guides us from the other side, whether or not we know it or not. Not just by moving into human bodies, but also by guiding people from the non-physical world. So in month 8, we cover why, how, and when guidance happens and exists while discovering deeper connection. Because now in month 8, we've really started clearing out all that negativity that's going to create static and blocks in our vibration. And then fortitude. Fortitude month is so cool, guys. I had no idea what they were going to put in this program when I was working with them, but fortitude really surprised me until I started getting the content for them. So month 9 is fortitude month. So fortitude is an extraordinary quality and it benefits us greatly. But there are societal programs that keep us out of authentic fortitude and strength. One's level of fortitude is related to flow. It's related to energetic sensitivity. And it's related to societal programs. Fortitude is kind of a big deal, as it turns out. So in month 9, we cover fortitude and something called the finish line trigger, which is kind of ironic and funny. So, and then we get into ingenuity, responsibility, and integration, right? So ingenuity. We put ourselves under a great amount of pressure trying to come up with ideas for just about anything, ideas to create a new business, ideas on how to create a better life, ideas how to handle any particular problem or event or situation in life. We put ourselves under a lot of pressure to come up with ideas. So much so that we often create stress instead of creating something brilliant and new. So in month 10, we cover ingenuity and intuition, ingenuity and fear. And we take a journey to my joy guide, Paul's creation station. For those of you who have spoken to Paul, my little dude, my joy guide, who's the first guide I started seeing when I had my awakening. He created something called the creation station for us, and we get to do that in Genesis. So responsibility, big month, everybody. And like I say, the ultimate closer for at least all the modules in Genesis. Responsibility is important on an energetic level. And this month is a little mind blowing for me still to this day after having done this program now so many times. So not being responsibility for self or taking undue responsibility for others always involves giving one's power away, wearing us down. So I have nicknamed Responsibility Month as Power Month in my mind. It's such an important month, and it's so easy to skim over that word, responsibility. Such an important month. In month 11, we cover responsibility and spirituality, responsibility and shame. We're going to hear a lot about shame in the Genesis program for many reasons, and responsibility and others. And then we get into integration, which is essentially just an open month. So our last month in this program is workshop free. We do multiple energetic exercises together and discuss real life scenarios and how to apply spiritual and energetic laws to real life. So essentially, it's a discussion month. It's a practice month. We do a lot of work with guides, and we really get down to the nitty gritty of applying these principles in real life scenarios. So it's a chatty month, and it's always a ton of fun. So we cover skills, confidence, and integrating Genesis content in our daily lives sustainably. And I can't tell you how helpful they are. I really can't. There's not a lot of words to describe that. So here's some of the shifts that you can expect with Genesis. Strengthening your connection to spirit and your higher consciousness. Develop the ability to control your emotions in a healthy way, not in a put frosting and sprinkles on top of it way. Regain control over your subconscious mind, the ego, the inner child, so many words for the subconscious mind, by uprooting and releasing wounds and roles and stories and cycles and judgments, you name it. Dissolving triggers and inauthentic parts of yourself. Fostering trust in yourself and in the universe. Let's stop on that one for a minute, because all fear begins from a place of lack of trust in self. All fear begins with a lack of trust in self. That is the genesis of all fear. Speaking of Genesis, understand more about living peacefully as an empath, as a sensitive person, because it really is a whole different thing, isn't it? Feel confident actualizing as a spiritual leader or a spiritual person. There's a lot of judgment out there, and we really will rain on our own parade, keep ourselves small, give our power away, because we're afraid to be who we really are as a spiritual person in this world. And Genesis is going to help dissolve any of that. And then allow for greater self-love. I got a message from Cassandra, my main guide, that said, in a nutshell, if a third of the people on the planet decided to choose self-love, to practice self-love, it would change the world immediately and permanently. Because so much of our conflict and disharmony in this world stems from a lack of self-love. And more info. So this PDF is going to be in the email that this video is attached to, and you can click that little here, boop. You can just do a little boop and get more information about Genesis, when it starts, the cost for members and non-members. And I've also introduced a one-on-one Genesis format where you go through the entire program except for on your own, outside of a group, for those who don't want to be in a group and want it to be more so just about themselves. So really quick here, I am going to stop this share screen and zoom back to you. So I wanted to share one more thing with you, just really quick. You've been hanging in here for a while. If you've made it all the way through to here, congratulations. And I just want to show you the Genesis pages on the website. So you can see what the Genesis members have forever. So as a Genesis attendee, you have access to the Genesis content forever and ever. Amen. And that's important because we're always learning. We're always developing. We're always shifting. We're always evolving. And so if you reach a point in your life after you've completed Genesis, let's say, where you're experiencing conflict and you're like, oh, I need a little bit of a refresher. You can just go to the Genesis membership page and you can open up conflict month and look through that content again. You can access those guided visualizations again, because we're always growing. We're always shifting. We're always evolving, right? And if we stop shifting and evolving, that's where things get a little bit hairy, right? We're always evolving. So really quick, I'm going to just give you a really quick show and tell on the members page. So as you can see here, you've got this lovely quote from Miss Cassandra, who's far more popular than me, and I totally understand why, because she's amazing. When we are awakening, we must be willing to redefine what success is. And as a spoiler alert, the brigade defines success as progress. Success is progress. They also define perfection as progress. They don't think of perfect the way we think of perfect, right? And then as you scroll down here, you're going to see you've got month 1 through month 11, and you can click on these little buttons and get to any particular month. Starts out with the daily meditation, super important for Genesis. You can see all the months are in here, right? And then you can see that there's also guided visualizations and a cute little video of me doing EFT, which is the emotional freedom technique, also known as tapping. So that helps with emotions month, releasing negative emotions. Tools, people, tools. And then, of course, one of my favorite things on the planet, the emotion wheel. And that goes all the way down to the end. And then we can click back up here. And there's a whole page just for guided visualizations. Now, here's where I'm going to admit that I've got a bit of an addiction, everyone. And my addiction is to doing guided visualizations. My guides didn't guide me to actually make guided visualizations for this course. I just did it because I'm an addict. And you know what? I'm okay with that addiction. So I'm always adding new ones, and I'm always updating the material as well. And as you see, there's a lot of guided meditations that just go with the Genesis program exclusively. And I keep adding them in there because I'm an addict. And you know what? I love myself, even though I'm addicted to making these things, right? And there's actually a few I got to toss up there right now. So I'm constantly updating the material as I go along with groups and redoing those PDFs anytime I get new questions. So as you're evolving through Genesis, Genesis is always evolving too. All right, everybody. I'm going to let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your day, no matter what day it is in the future. And I hope that if you're interested in Genesis and you have any fear about that or any doubt in yourself about that, that you just drop me a line, send me an email, send me a text, and we can talk about it. Because chances are, if you're curious about it and you've got a desire or a craving to do Genesis, that it's the right time for you. A lot of people don't want to get into Genesis because they don't think they're capable or worthy of it. And good grief, y'all, you're worthy. You're worthy of anything that you want to do. You're absolutely worthy to be in direct communication with your higher consciousness, to develop your psychic skills. You're definitely worthy of communicating with your guides. You're definitely worthy of being in alignment and being able to attract and manifest what you want in this world. You are definitely worthy of greater happiness, ease, and flow. And even if you don't do Genesis, please, please, please accept that you are worthy of everything amazing and positive in this world. And know that I love you. All right, everybody, I'm going to stop this recording. You have an amazing day. Mwah!